Back in 2015, the world was in the midst of admiring two of the greatest players to have ever played the game, essentially being one of the first times in history two of the best players in the world were playing within the same league, on rival teams. And as a result of such a scenario, this created some of the most interesting comparisons on football, one of which was the comparisons of each team's attacking players, more specifically, Neymar versus Bale. Now I know most people will probably say that Neymar clears pretty easily. Well, I'm not here to debate if Bale was a better player than Neymar, because he's not. I'm just simply asking the question, how close was he to Neymar in his prime? And if this conversation was just a result of the media and wasn't really there at all. So in order to understand and compare Bale and Neymar statistically, we have to first understand the circumstances that both players were in order to make things relatively fair. In regards to Gareth Bale, he is ranked as one of the most prolific goal-scoring wingers in the last 20 years, despite the fact that he was playing mainly as a wing-back before his time at Real Madrid. So it's important to not only compare their overall statistics, but stats during their primes. Bale's overall career stats is 185 goals with 132 assists for club, along with 62 goal contributions for Wales. Compared to Neymar, 360 goals with 220 assists for club and 138 goal contributions for Brazil. Now, if we were to put this into context, with a goal contribution of 0.57 per match, Bale is just one of the many great players we had the pleasure of watching this past decade. But he is not a standout when compared to Neymar's career average of 0.98, which is the same as Cristiano Ronaldo. Meaning, on average, Neymar gets a goal and an assist at the same rate as Cristiano. Now, if we were to use their primes, their first 5 years at Real Madrid and Barcelona, Bale's 0.77 puts him just above Ronaldinho and Salah, and for Neymar, his output of 1.04 goal contributions per game, which is slightly below Messi and Mbappe, still gives him the edge over Gareth Bale. So it's quite obvious that he's not on the same level as Neymar statistically. He's more on the level of someone like Salah or probably Ronaldinho on his best day. But this oversimplistic way of comparing two players can paint an accurate picture at times, but doesn't always tell the true story. For example, just because Neymar scored more goals than Gareth Bale doesn't mean that he's a better goal scorer. In some cases, Neymar could just be taking more shots with a lower conversion rate. And this is the reason why we have to go a little bit deeper and analyze who is better based on the eye test. Now, when it comes on to shooting, from 2014 to 2018, Bale and Neymar averaged roughly 81.2 and 102.5 shots per season, getting 32.4 and 43.6 shots on target in the Liga. From the goals that they were able to score during that period, Bale only needed 2.3 shots on target to score compared to Neymar's 2.5. Meaning if Neymar and Bale were given 100 shots on goal, Neymar would initially have more shots on target, but due to his worse conversion rate, Bale would end up scoring more goals. Now I initially thought this was because Neymar was shooting from outside the box more often, meaning more difficult shots attempted, but this wasn't true. Bale is much more active from long range and actually scored more outside the box in the league from 2015 to 2018. So if you were given a choice between Bale and Neymar to score a goal to save your life, the best choice based on statistics would be Bale. For speed, Neymar's highest recorded speed is 32.69 km per hour, which is extremely fast, faster than players like Messi and Ronaldinho. But compared to Gareth Bale, this isn't even close to his top speed. The guy is seen on countless occasions casually outrunning players whenever he plays, something that he would be known around the world for. I mean, when someone like Usain Bolt is talking about you, you know you're really fast. And for strength, Bale again is the winner here, being a much more physical player when compared to Neymar, being harder to take off the ball, just a physical specimen that's among the best in that department. When Neymar is just Neymar. Now this is the point where Neymar's sheer talent will come into effect, as he's basically better than Bale in everything else in this category. In passing, over the same 5 years, Bale averaged 702 passes per season, which is 28 passes per match. This is nothing compared to Neymar's 1,478 passes per season, which is 55 passes per game. So not only is Neymar making literally thousands of more passes over the same 5-year period, taking free kicks, different types of set pieces and different random link-up plays and combinations, he's doing so while having relatively the same amount of pass completion rate, which is just insane to think about. This point goes to Neymar. This is essentially the same for dribbling as well. From 2018 to 2021, Neymar averaged 159 dribbles per season, which is 9 per game, compared to Bale's 1.9. This is just another mismatch, especially when you know that Neymar's dribbling success rate is among the best in the world and is extremely hard to match. And lastly, when it comes to excitement or flair, Neymar is Brazilian. That's all I'm going to have to say about that. So overall, based on the eye test, this is going to be a tie, which is probably better than what most people thought the outcome would be for Bale. But how does Bale compare to Neymar based on impact on team? For impact on team, Bale and Neymar have relatively the same impact on their national team when looking at how their teams perform with them and without. When Neymar plays for Brazil, they have a win rate of 71%, and when he's not playing, the team win rate dropped to 53%, an 18.5 decrease from an almost guaranteed chance of winning to what's essentially a coin flip. And they also have a dramatic decrease with goals scored per match as well. Roughly the same can be said about Bale, whose team sees a 20% decrease when he is not playing, along with a huge decrease of goals scored per match. Having so much influence on a team like Brazil is more than impressive in my opinion. But it's also impressive when you think about the fact that Bale was one of the only reasons why Wales was even competing in the first place, playing on a small team in a pool of sharks. So this can only be decided by their significance to their club, and without a doubt, Neymar is the winner of this category. Although both players were cursed by a ton of injuries, regardless of how long it would take Neymar to come back, he would always get to play on the team, even if the manager didn't like the guy. His talent was so immense, you would have to play him regardless. And we will see this happen time and time again. While Bale, it's the opposite. Zidane would bench Bale even if he wasn't injured, playing players like Vasquez or Isco over him. And while I have no problem with those players, they are good players in their own right, they were benching Bale. So this point would have to go to Neymar, and I don't think most people would disagree. And lastly, when it comes to logics, who was the better game, tournament and season, this point would have to go to Neymar for being superior in all categories. Neymar has multiple games that are some absolute classics, games that every football fan have to adore. And while the same can be said about Bale, the overall quality of his games, or their peaks, isn't as impressive when compared to Neymar. For example, Bale has his hat-trick against Aston Villa, hat-trick against Inter, which is really huge, that was a Champions League game, and the real big one, Real Madrid versus Liverpool. But although those were some really impressive games, I don't think Bale has anything as impressive as Neymar's domination over PSG. When you factor in the fact that he was playing in the Champions League and they were 4 goals down going into that game, I don't think you will ever see anything like that ever again. For season, Neymar clears again, having multiple high-level seasons that have over 50 goal contributions, when Bale doesn't, which is really surprising when I'm thinking about it. And lastly, for who has the better tournament, this is the only category Bale is competing with Neymar with, seeing that they both won the UCL title with the same amount of goal contributions, with the only difference being Bale started off the tournament great and ended it good, while Neymar started it good and ended off great. But to just give this point to Neymar felt like I was overlooking Bale's significance to that Real Madrid team in 2014. So after looking at other tournament campaigns that both players have, Neymar easily takes this point, having multiple tournament campaigns that he had 9 or above goal contributions for his team, something that Gareth Bale just doesn't have. So to conclude, this is a one-sided affair with Neymar coming out on top. But I don't necessarily think this is a massive mismatch, seeing that Neymar didn't win any category by a massive margin. This is more so an indicator that if Bale was played more, and counting on to the extent that Neymar was, I strongly believe that this would have been so much closer. Which basically means that this wasn't just the media constructing a narrative. Back in 2014, this was real. Now, in regards to where I would rank Bale, I think I would put him just below Ronaldinho, who's obviously a tier below Neymar. If you are interested to see how Ronaldinho fared against Neymar, you should probably check out this video right here on the channel. And yes, he's above Hazard. Let's just end that conversation right here.